Welcome everyone to Coin New Yen Review channel. Before we dive into today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover us. Enjoy the show. I confessed to Kang Soo-yi in high school, telling her I liked her. I pleaded with my best friend not to tell him. It wasn't until his best friend's wedding I gripped Kang Soo-ye's neck, exclaiming that her words were truly prophetic. He sneered, warning me that if I dared mention liking him again, I should beware or shed charme with affection. Ningbingbai was set to marry Fang Yuan. The high school class group chat exploded with the news. I took a bite of the mango. I remarked that they were getting married right after graduation. I noted that I'd have to chip in for the wedding gift. This added strain to my already struggling family finances. I called Kang Soo-yi, asking what she was up to. She snapped at me to get to the point. I asked if she knew about Ningbingbei's wedding. She told me she was the bridesmaid. I felt tears welling up in my throat. I asked if that meant she didn't have to contribute to the gift, perhaps noticing the quiver in my voice. His tone grew impatient as he addressed me Feng Wang. He warned me not to admit I was still hung up on Minbingbai. He said that since she was getting married, I shouldn't act like daughter. Kang Soo-ye's voice dripped with irritation. I was about to respond, but she hung up on me abruptly. I clenched my fist, grimacing at the phone. Then I called back, demanding to know why. I asked to borrow 500 for the wedding gift. As expected, he grew even more annoyed. I admitted I'd once had a crush on Minbingbai. When he transferred to Yizhong in middle school, he ended up sitting right next to Kang Soo-yi. Two stunning girls sat side by side, receiving endless love letters every day. Don't Eski wrote one too, but it was for Minbingbai, only for Kang Soo-yi to help toss it out. I sarcastically thanked her for that, so I switched to a subtler approach. On the way home after school, I splurged on a Chupa Chups for Kang Soo-yi. She eyed me suspiciously, asking what I was up to. I grinned like a loyal dog, chuckling nervously. I said it was to build friendly, neighborly ties. She pressed me to spill what I wanted from her. I scratched my head, awkwardly admitting that I thought her deskmate was pretty cute. She smiled, saying my eyes were practically falling out, staring. I muttered that it was a shame such a beauty had a sharp tongue. She warned me not to sell myself short like a knight errant. I leaned close to her ear, bashfully confessing I'd fallen for Ningbingbai. I begged her not to tell him. Then I ran off, secretly thrilled, thinking she'd spill soon. Tomorrow Ningbingbai would surely know. Based on my experience, I was certain Kang Soo-yi would tell Ningbingbai. Back in elementary school, my buddy had snitched to the class captain the very next day. Yet I waited 1 day, 2 days, 3 until Minbingbei's wedding today. Kang Soo-yi never said a word. She truly kept her lips sealed. At the wedding, I arrived fashionably late. The ceremony was nearly over. My friend Ki Kyung asked why I was so late and what happened to my hair. I tossed my hair back with a mix of nonchalance and defiance. I said I'd visited Tony the stylist. I'd gotten a solid bold haircut. I went to a street-side barber, intending just a trim, but the barber's hand slipped, leaving a bald patch. So here I was sporting a bird's nest on my head. Kang Soo-yi approached in formal attire. She patted my head, telling Hekyang that his little brother had grown so big. I brushed her hand away, muttering a silent prayer, insisting I wasn't the little brother. Kang Soo-yi laughed for a lifetime. She asked who'd given me this haircut. I told her I'd hunt them down. The golden streaks in it were no lie. I shrugged, saying they'd already paid me $500. I'd transfer the money to her later. I admitted that post-graduation I was flat broke. Even the red envelope for the wedding gift was swiped from Kang Soo-yi. Ki Kyung leaned in, showing me a video of Ningbingbai kissing the groom. I watched, dazzled, noting how beautiful Ningbingbai looked and how handsome Fang Yuan was. I only watched it 8 times, no big deal. After the wedding ended that night, I went drinking with Hekyang to celebrate my 21 years of singlehood. There was a secret I hadn't shared with them. Today, I'd crashed my shared bike right in front of a blind fortune teller. He claimed my face showed no romantic prospects, saying I wouldn't find a girlfriend until 30, unless I wanted to change my fate. He suggested getting a new hairstyle, To give my love life a sliver of hope. By 30, I'd be a CEO, marrying a rich beauty and reaching life's peak. Of course, I'd have a girlfriend by then, but I didn't want to wait until 30, so I went and got that haircut. Later, I realized, what kind of fortune teller hangs out by a barbershop? He was clearly a scam. I stumbled drunkenly to Kiangsu-ye's door, banging loudly until Kiangsu-ye opened it, calling my name Feng Wang, asking what I was doing there so late. Drunk and reckless, I leapt forward, one arm around her, the other pinching her lips. They were soft and cool. I slurred that her mouth was truly salty. I'd shared so many secrets with her, and she hadn't leaked a single one. I demanded she answer why I'd have to wait until 30 to find love. Kiangsu-ye laughed for a lifetime. She warned that if I dared mention liking someone again, she'd personally clobber me, believe it. Maybe in a moment of clarity, I bumped my head against hers. In the final moments of that night, it felt like I'd tasted tofu, soft and warm. The midday sun hit my face. I slowly stirred awake, in a clean, tidy room, with pale pink sheets that weren't mine, but unmistakably Kiangsu-ye's. I was down to a tank top and shorts. I pursed my lips confused, wondering where my jacket had gone. Kiangsu-ye sauntered in, leaning against the doorframe, noting I was awake, teasing that she thought I'd squat at her place. I asked if I'd come over last night. She retorted, when else the middle of the night. Her expression turned slightly uneasy. Her tongue grazed her lip, asking if I didn't remember what happened last night. I froze, realizing my jacket was gone for a reason. I asked if she'd taken advantage of me last night. After all, I was pretty handsome. Kiangsu-ye looked exasperated. She took a deep breath, swearing she'd jump off a cliff before touching a single hair on my body. She told me to come eat breakfast, said she had to head out soon. I sprang out of bed with agility. At the table, Kiangsu-ye's phone kept buzzing. Messages poured in relentlessly. The sender's avatar was a cartoon boy. Kiangsu-ye ate breakfast, ignoring it. I couldn't stand it anymore. I demanded to know who this guy was. She confirmed it was a guy. I snapped that I already knew that. He was obviously a guy. I pressed her on what their relationship was. She squinted at me, saying he was her boyfriend. Leaning back in her chair, her bright eyes fixed on me, she said if she had a boyfriend, she'd have fought to protect her honor last night, and wouldn't have let me in. The word honor sounded off to me. I shook my hungover head. My mind wasn't clear. I kept overthinking things. The phone's buzzing kept grating on me. Irritated, I asked if he was pursuing her. I choked out that some people drown in drought, others in floods. It was always feast or famine. As Kiangsu-ye's childhood friend, from youth to now, I'd witnessed countless unrequited crushes on her. Some were gentle, others lively. But Kiangsu-ye was focused solely on her studies. Yet all the guys chasing her shared one trait. They were always extra kind to her. Except for me. At 1, I'd spilled Kiangsu-ye's milk powder. At 2, I'd knocked her to the ground, leaving her crying on the floor. As a kid, I really loved picking on Kiangsu-ye, but she never hated me for it. Though she never liked me either. From childhood to now, I'd never seen Kiangsu-ye like any guy, so no one ever won her over. Lost in my chaotic thoughts, my gaze on Kiangsu-ye shifted from friendly to resentful. I told her not to string the guy along if she didn't like him. I offered to help her reject him tactfully. She handed me her phone, half doubting. I quickly typed, "Have you eaten?" He replied, "Not yet," asking if I was inviting him out. I shot back that there was no invitation. I typed again, telling him to go eat, making it sound like an order, and threw in a panda emoji for good measure, firm but not stingy. If this guy still liked Kiangsu-ye, I suggested he take a crash course from a love-obsessed blogger. Sure enough, the guy stopped replying. He was probably put off. Kiangsu-ye snatched her phone back, glanced at the chat history, and laughed in exasperation, asking if that was my grand plan. I asked if she had a problem with it. She said the city was small enough. I had to keep the peace for Feng Ping. She rapidly typed out a message, apologizing for the mix-up, saying her boyfriend had been messing around. I was baffled, thinking I was the victim here. After leaving Kiangsu-ye's place, I headed to my shop. I ran a small dessert shop in the city. It wasn't huge, but the rent was steep. In college, I'd learned to bake cakes, but I was scared of gaining weight. So I used Kiang Su-yi as my taste tester. She resignedly let me feed her cakes until her slim waist became as wide as her shoulders. By then, she was no longer my cake guinea pig, but my baking skills had gotten pretty good. After graduation, my parents invested in my startup fund. With promotion and decor, I spent a ton, leaving me basically penniless. I'd been relying on Kiang Su-ye's help to get by. Luckily, her company was doing well, so she wasn't short on cash. A ding announced a customer entering the shop. It was a girl with peach blossom eyes and a sharp jawline, a straight nose, looking sweet and innocent, with flawless skin. She'd been coming in often lately, always ordering a vanilla lemon cake. I nodded to her. My employee tugged my sleeve, giving me knowing looks. I caught her drift. This woman was back again. I shot her a few looks, agreeing she was stunning. She teased if I was going to make a move. I said I was too old for that. She declared she'd go for it then. The guy Xiao Shuai was a sophomore. He spotted a beauty today, but the beauty came straight for me, calling me big brother. She asked for a vanilla lemon cake. I apologized for the mix-up and told Xiao Shuai to pack up the cake, handing it to her. The girl flashed a radiant smile, calling me big brother again, asking if we could be friends. Xiao Shuai gave me a look, urging me to go for it. A beauty like that was rare. I pursed my lips and added her contact. Her avatar was a silhouette, standing on a cliff by the sea, tinted in sunset hues. Her nickname was just a period. After adding her, she messaged me, saying her name was Ryan Liu. I couldn't help but sigh. If this girl had come along a few years earlier, I might not have listened to that scam fortune teller and foolishly gotten that haircut. Maybe my luck in love had been bad before, leaving me single all these years. I'd had my share of bad romantic prospects, but with Kiang Su-yi and Ningbing by these campus beauties as my standard, I couldn't settle for anyone less. Meeting a quality prospect like Ryan Liu was a first for me. Things had been rough lately. It started raining halfway home. I hadn't brought an umbrella, so I just ran through it. When I got back to my rental, the door was ajar. I instinctively thought it was a burglary. I always kept a fruit knife in my bag. I pulled it out, only to find the landlord inside. The place was a mess. I noted it wasn't time to move out yet. I still had 3 months left. The landlord, a middle-aged woman, was decent enough. She explained the water pipe had burst. She'd called someone to fix it. The bathroom water had nearly flooded the floor below. The place was uninhabitable now. She told me to find a new place to rent. I asked if it was that urgent. Luckily, I had a kind landlord. She promised to refund the remaining rent and deposit. I started packing my things. Autumn clothes were thin, not much to pack, but my stuff was scattered and plentiful. I filled 2 suitcases. The rain still hadn't stopped. I dialed Kiang Su-ye's number. It rang several times before she picked up. Her voice was laced with exhaustion and a bit hoarse. She warned that if I had no good reason, I was done for. I narrowed my eyes. Something felt off. What had she been doing? Why did it take her so long to answer? I glanced at the time. It was around 11 p.m. 11, such a suggestive hour. A single woman. A vibrant single woman. My thoughts raced, summed up in 3 TSK sounds. I cautiously asked if I'd interrupted something. Kiang Su-yi seemed to shift in bed, bluntly asking who I thought had woken her. I asked if she'd been sleeping. Maybe my voice betrayed too much emotion. She picked up on it, asking if I was disappointed. I admitted I was a little disappointed. I quickly asked if she'd been dreaming. She paused for a moment, confirming she had. I asked who she'd dreamed of. She stayed silent for 5 seconds before demanding I get to the point, giving me 3 seconds, or she'd hang up. I blurted that my place had flooded and I was broke. I asked if I could crash at her place for a few days or many. I asked if that was okay. Right on the 3-second mark, she answered quickly, making me proud. I roared into the phone, telling her to come on. It's not like I wasn't welcome. Her voice was soft, like she'd just woken up, but I knew she was definitely willing. I understood her willingness was genuine. I recalled how right after graduation he urged me to stay at Kyang-soo Ye's place, and he insisted I go live with Kyang-soo Ye for a while. I politely declined, worried it might jinx my romantic prospects. Since she was so enthusiastic about it, I asked her to come pick me up. It would save me the cab fare. When Kyang-soo Ye brought me to her place, it was nearly midnight. My hair and clothes soaked from the rain clung uncomfortably to my skin. The dampness made wearing them unbearable, so I hurriedly opened my suitcase. I grabbed some clean clothes to change into. Kyang-soo Ye watched me bustle about, calling me an idle fool. Before I dashed into the bathroom, I tilted my head toward her. I suggested that if she had nothing better to do, she could help sort my clothes. I told her I just wanted to sleep right after my shower. Assuming she had no plans, I didn't wait for her to refuse. I slammed the door shut with a bang. The force was so great, it was as if I was warning her that refusal would lead to the door's fate. The impact implied her fate would be the same if she didn't comply. But Kyang-soo Ye still knocked on the door, even with the water drowning out my ears. I could hear her lecturing me. She told me to close the door more gently next time. She reminded me the door was expensive. I swore if anyone called Kyang-soo Ye a spendthrift, I'd defight them. Kyang-soo Ye truly knew how to enjoy life. Her home's bath facilities were top-notch. Her refined taste had always been evident. I finished my shower an hour later. By then, most of the house's lights were off. I thought Kyang-soo Ye had already gone to bed, but the living room's warm yellow light still glowed. Kyang-soo Ye was sprawled on the sofa, as if she couldn't control herself. I walked over to her side. The sofa was wide, but Kyang-soo Ye's body took up most of it. Luckily, I was slim enough. I slowly sat down beside her. I leaned in to sneak a peek at my childhood friend. They say women with thin lips are cold-hearted. I wondered if Kyang-soo Ye was an exception with her striking eyes. Her thick double eyelids, when opened, revealed eyes full of affection. Those eyes made everything she looked at seem tender. Her features had shed their youthful softness, now carrying a hint of mature elegance. I was tempted to pluck one of her eyelashes to see, but before I could act, Kyang-soo Ye, as if sensing my intent, opened her eyes. Her gaze was hazy, laced with a smile. Her warm palm grabbed my wrist. Her body heat flowed into my veins, making me feel a bit feverish. I was about to explain my odd behavior, but she pulled me and I lurched forward. I fell onto her, hearing the thud of her heartbeat. She placed one hand on her chest. The other rested on my abs. Her smile visibly flushed red. Her ears grew hot. Kyang-soo Ye's voice, husky and alluring, told me to stop fooling around. I quickly sat upright. Kyang-soo Ye's face regained some composure. She bent her left leg. Her hand, which had grazed my abs, waved lazily. She teased that the feel wasn't bad. How could it be? I scoffed. I worked out regularly. Living at Kyang-soo Ye's place meant no rent to pay, but I couldn't just freeload off her. It was already 7 in the evening. I figured she was off work by now. I messaged her asking if she was coming home tonight. While selling a cake mid-shift, I checked my phone and saw Kyang-soo Ye had replied saying she was free. She asked if I was hungry. I admitted I hadn't eaten since noon, too busy, and asked if she'd cook. I declared I'd rather starve than eat takeout. She teased that I was picky, suggesting we have hot pot. She admitted she only knew how to make that. I agreed and asked her to pick me up so we could shop for ingredients at the supermarket downstairs. By the way, I sent her a sassy panda emoji. Kyang-soo Ye replied with a simple okay. She said she was leaving work and would come pick me up now. Before I could respond, a clear-voiced girl appeared. She called me Brother Feng Wang, asking if there were any cakes left. It was Ryan Liu. She'd added me a few days ago. After introducing herself, we hadn't chatted much. She'd sent me a selfie from the library, but I wasn't interested in this younger girl. Out of politeness, I replied briefly. Her social media screamed pure college girl. I smiled, saying business was too good today. Her favorite lemon cake was sold out. Ryan Liu sighed with disappointment. She asked if they were really gone. I chuckled. I'd seen her sporty posts online. I asked if eating cake would ruin her fitness goals. Kyang-soo-yi, my guinea pig, had gained weight and refused my cakes after that. She trained at the gym for a month. Too slim back down. Shed dragged me along once. Back when the hula hoop challenge was trending online, she was so tempted she made a video for me, which was still saved on my phone. These days, I'd been thinking about Kyang-soo-yi a lot more. I snapped back to reality. Ryan Liu had said something. I asked her to repeat it. She smiled, showing to dimples, calling me brother. She said she'd shared her cakes with her roommates. I wondered what to say next. I asked why she gave them to her roommates. She said it was because of me. Some things are better left unsaid. I sighed that she was born too late for me. I told her I wasn't lovesick, just focused on making money. She suggested I check out her profile. Before she could finish, a figure appeared outside the glass window. Kyang-soo-yi stood there in a navy blue coat. Her hair fell rebelliously over her forehead. It was already winter. The wind outside was fierce. Kyang-soo-yi's nose was slightly red. Her thin lips curved faintly as she gazed at me. My voice caught in my throat. The sudden awkwardness and panic overwhelmed me. Kyang-soo-yi pushed the door open. She casually told Ryan Liu to try the blueberry cake I made. She said it was pretty good too. She chuckled lightly, asking if I was ready to go home. Didn't we need to buy groceries? Something felt off. I said we'd head back soon. Ryan Liu's ears turned red beside us. I scratched my head. I packed a blueberry cake and handed it to her. I told her it was on the house, encouraging her to try a new flavor and to come back next time. Ryan Liu sighed dejectedly. She really was like a little sister. I patted her head, saying goodbye. After Ryan Liu left, I gave Xiao Shuai some instructions, then headed with Kyang-soo-yi to the supermarket downstairs. The car's heater was cranked up. My neck felt uncomfortable. I realized then I'd bought this coat at the mall today. The tag was still attached. The coat was too bulky. I couldn't lift my arms properly. I turned my back to Kyang-soo-yi. She helped me remove the tag from the coat. Suddenly her palm slapped the steering wheel, making a sharp sound. I looked at her, puzzled. She unceremoniously pressed my head, telling me to turn back around. Her voice lazy, she told me not to move. Didn't I ask her to remove the tag? Her fingers were slightly cool. I shivered. My voice grew heavy. I asked why I was shaking but said nothing more. Kyang-soo-yi's fingertips slowly grazed my collar, reaching for the tag inside. Each brush sent tingles down my spine. A snapping sound came. She held the tag in front of me, but her gaze carried a deeper meaning. In the supermarket, Kyang-soo-yi pushed the cart, while I picked out ingredients. At the liquor section, I asked if she wanted to drink. She raised an eyebrow, asking if I was drinking. I said I was fine either way, and she smirked, agreeing. We decided to get some drinks. I offered to treat today. We bought a lot of ingredients. Kyang-soo-yi scanned QR codes at the self-checkout. I wandered around aimlessly until someone caught my full attention. A person in a simple tank suit, thin and lanky, most notably wearing those iconic round sunglasses. It was the conman who lured me to that barber shop. I told Kyang-soo-yi to pay first, promising to transfer her the money later. I'd spotted an old friend and wanted to say hi. Kyang-soo-yi nodded, telling me to go. I strolled over to the man, close enough to hear his carefree whistling. I forced a smile. My hand on his shoulder, I greeted him as master. I practically growled those two words. The man stiffened. The next second he grinned and greeted me as Mr. Wong. He complimented my hairstyle, then bolted like a greased rat. I yelled for him to stop. He ran faster than a mouse, but he didn't count on my high school men's long-distance running championship. I chased him into an alley where he had nowhere left to run. I mocked him for not running anymore. I taunted him without gasping for breath. He panted, asking how I ran so fast. I brushed it off, saying it was my righteous spirit. I stepped closer, grabbing his collar. I told him to stop pretending to read fortunes. He shook like a flimsy piece of paper caught in a storm. He pleaded for civility, Mr. Wong, calling himself a scholar. I let go of him. He had a point. I grabbed his wrist instead, telling him we were going to the police. He struggled free, addressing me as Mr. Wong. begging for a chance to make it right. His words were earnest. I crossed my arms asking how he'd fix it. He swore he could really read fortunes, admitting he'd scammed me last time, but only to meet his quota. I asked if the no love until 30 line was a lie. He insisted he'd give me a new reading. He sat on the ground, claiming my face screamed wealth and status. He asked if I'd never been in love, saying it was because my time hadn't come. I got a bit curious. I squatted down listening to his spiel. He said I had plenty of romantic prospects, but someone was blocking them. He asked me to think hard. Who was the woman most present in my life, besides my mother? He predicted my girlfriend would be refined, wealthy and accomplished young. I frowned asking what she'd look like. He said he could only give a rough idea, but she'd definitely be beautiful, ideally wearing glasses, tall and well-proportioned. We'd look like a perfect match together. His words sounded nice, but I suspected he was bluffing. Then unhurried footsteps echoed. The alley was dim. I looked closely, and out walked Kiang Soo-yi, in her navy blue coat, wearing a beige waist-cinching dress. I vaguely recalled she'd mentioned a business meeting today. Her outfit hugged her figure perfectly. A pair of silver-framed glasses adorned her face. My mind suddenly played the Goblin soundtrack. The conman's words looped in my ears. Beautiful wearing glasses, tall and shapely, wealthy. My hand instinctively clenched. Time seemed to freeze. Kiang Soo-ye's red lips parted slightly, exhaling. She asked if I had money written on my face. I swore I heard my illusions shatter. She pointed a green onion at me, asking if I'd come chasing someone alone. The conman and I didn't plan what to do in danger. No, it definitely wasn't him. After eating hot pot, I cautiously studied her expression. She still seemed a bit off. The hot pot smell clung to us. My clothes reeked of it. After cleaning up, I shouted to Kiang Soo-yi, who was watching TV. I announced I was going to shower first. Kiang Soo-yi turned to look at me. I thought she'd say something, so I paused to meet her gaze. We stared silently for 10 seconds. Her face flushed slightly as she looked down, seemingly casual. She told me to take my time and wash up well. Her voice carried an unclear, ambiguous tone. Kiang Soo-yi had been busy lately, often not coming home or staying late. Since university, she'd been working on a startup with classmates. After graduation, they opened a studio together. Now it was seeing some success. With New Year's approaching, she was likely swamped. The snow came late this year. When the first snow fell, I saw everyone sharing it on social media. I stepped onto the balcony. Snowflakes drifted down softly. I snapped a photo of snow on the trees and posted it online, captioning it "Watching the snow alone." After posting, friends from all over commented. Kiang Soo-yi left a comment too. She wrote that she'd come over. I replied telling her to come then. She didn't respond further, but my buddy Ki Kyung messaged me, teasing if I was chasing girls. He said he saw right through me. He mocked my "watching the snow alone" post as cheesy, saying I never used to be like this. He asked if something was up, guessing who the dog woman was. He bet it was Kiang Soo-yi. I told him I wasn't spilling. Ki Kyung said he knew me too well. He invited me to the square if I was free, saying there were lots of girls there. He was right. Plenty of college couples were out. Street vendors seized the chance selling roses. Business was booming. Ki Kyung asked about my flooded rental, wondering why I didn't stay with him. I said his place was too small. It couldn't handle a big shot like me. He squinted at me, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. I felt the weight of his gaze. The square buzzed with young love. Couples strolled hand in hand. Vendors pushed flowers with relentless charm. Each rose sold was a small victory. Ki Kyung nudged me, pointing out the scene. He asked again about my flooded place, insisting I could crash at his. I reiterated his place was too cramped. It wasn't fit for a grand presence like mine. He narrowed his eyes again, unconvinced. I admitted that Kiang Soo-yi was a decent choice. Ki Kyung squinted at me. He asked if I had feelings for Kiang Soo-yi. I pursed my lips as Ki Kyung kept pressing. I couldn't help but laugh, saying he'd find out in time. Ki Kyung's gaze shifted to another direction. He told me to forget the future and look behind me first. I followed Kikyang's line of sight. My eyes landed on a striking couple. I recognized the woman. It was Kiang Soo-yi. I also knew the man from high school days. The rumored boyfriend of Kiang Soo-yi, whose name was whispered everywhere. Zhao Ronzi with a strong build and fair skin. A strikingly handsome guy. As I stood there stunned, a beautiful woman approached greeting me. She asked if we could be friends. The woman had long hair and was undeniably gorgeous. I smiled, adding her contact, but in a glance, Kiang Soo-yi was already walking toward us. When she arrived, I had just passed the friend request of that beautiful woman. She teased that I was quite the charmer. I lifted my phone, shaking it lightly, saying it wasn't bad. I noted that she was a beauty, and exactly my type. My words were honest. I always had a thing for girls with long, straight black hair. She congratulated me, and I returned the sentiment. I asked about Jaron, noting we hadn't seen him in years, and suggested we catch up with him. To make it convincing, I deliberately tilted my head to peek behind Kiang Soo-yi. She questioned if we hadn't just seen him 6 months ago. Ki Kyung glanced at both of us. Unable to hold back, he said he had to leave. He mentioned having to work overtime tomorrow. Kiang Soo-yi and I both offered to drive him home. On the way, only Ki Kyung and I chatted idly. Kiang Soo-yi quietly played the role of driver. The atmosphere was perfectly harmonious. After dropping Ki Kyung off, we returned to her place. Kiang Soo-yi spoke up. She said Jaron mentioned we'd met before graduation. I leaned back on the sofa, admitting it openly. Kiang Soo-yi strolled over. Her hands braced on the sofa. She leaned down to meet my gaze. She added that Jaron said I'd asked him if he and she had ever dated. Kiang Soo-yi asked if that was important to me. It was in fact incredibly important, because Kiang Soo-yi was the moon I hadn't dared to reach for in my youth. I had loved Kiang Soo-yi. Nobody knew, not even Kiang Soo-yi herself. From childhood, I shared everything with Kiang Soo-yi, because she and I lived across from each other and our parents were busy with work. After kindergarten, it was just Kiang Soo-yi and me leaning on each other. In elementary school, I had crushed on so many people. The class president, the study monitor, even the sports captainy, liked them all. As a kid, I didn't understand what liking meant. I just thought they were adorable. So every time I liked someone, I'd tell Kiang Soo-yi about it. Kiang Soo-yi, carrying her little backpack, asked me Feng Wang. She wondered if I didn't get tired liking a new person every day. Her voice was soft and childish, like a little blind girl. I said it wasn't tiring because it was just talk. It wasn't until I started writing love letters to Ningbing Bai that she realized how serious I was. She began to avoid talking to me. A few times when I went to her room, she just told me Feng Wang. She was tired and didn't want to hear about my crush anymore. My heart opened late. It wasn't until my second year of high school that I realized I liked Kiang Soo-yi a little, or maybe a lot. Then Jaron appeared. Rumors about him and Kiang Soo-yi spread like wildfire. They said Jaron and Kiang Soo-yi were together. I asked if I'd heard right. They were seen doing classroom duties together, locked in a room. I heard they often studied together at the library. My jealousy boiled like scalding water, ready to bubble over. So I did the thing I regret most. When they were on duty together again, I reported them to the school office. I accused them of dating, anonymously like a coward. But Kiang Soo-yi saw the letter, a sea blue envelope with a faint scent. One I bought extra while writing to Minbing Bai. The handwriting was done with my left hand. Zhao Ron cried when the teacher confronted him. Kiang Soo-yi stood by expressionless. As Zhao Ron wept, guilt surged through me like a tidal wave. I watched the drama unfold from the window. Kiang Soo-yi turned her head. Our eyes met, hers so clear and honest. If it started as guilt, it soon became unbearable shame. I'd become the kind of person I despised most. A snitch, the most shameful act in middle school. For a while, I avoided Kiang Soo-yi. Every time I saw those eyes, my legs turned weak with guilt. During that time, I stuffed Jaron's desk with heaps of imported chocolates my parents bought. Once Kiang Soo-yi caught me in the act, asking what I was doing. My face flushed red instantly. I stammered that I wasn't doing anything. Kiang Soo-yi walked toward me. I resignedly held out my hand, revealing the chocolate in my palm. She held my hand with one of hers, prying open my fingers with the other, taking the tightly gripped chocolate. Kyung-soo glanced at me. She slowly unwrapped the chocolate. The sound of the foil was painfully loud. She popped the chocolate in her mouth. She casually remarked that it was pretty sweet. Kyung-soo was so open and honest. To my guilty ears, her words felt like she was saying she forgave me. She probably knew I wrote that letter. I was utterly ashamed back then. It made me too embarrassed to confess, because I felt like I wasn't a good person. I had a diary filled with countless words, but the most frequent line was that I really liked Kyung-soo. I wanted to tell her but was too scared to. That year, I clearly understood. A secret crush is a vow hard to voice. Like the diary I buried under the locust tree, covered in dust, until by chance I ran into Jaron before graduation. It had been a while, though we didn't get along great in high school. He was thrilled to see me. His first words were about me and Kyung-soo, asking how we were doing now. I froze, saying things were just as they were. Though we went to college in the same city, we weren't at the same university. We couldn't chat like a couple every day, only catching up during New Year's at home, watching the Spring Festival gala together. Jaron let out a hum. He said he thought we'd end up together. I asked why he thought that. He grinned, asking if I de-reported us for dating, because I liked her. Memories I'd buried came rushing back. I pressed my lips tight, staring at him in disbelief. I asked if he knew all along. He said I'd stuffed his desk with chocolate for a month. It'd be hard for him to be that oblivious. I closed my eyes, processing his words. He said Kyung-soo knew it was me too. She told him not to blame me, saying my morals weren't fully formed yet. She pitied him for taking the fall alone, but she also set him up with the class president after graduation, so all was forgiven. He hadn't expected our progress to be so slow, that we still weren't together. Kyung-soo knew. She understood everything about my secret. I loved Kyung-soo and no one else knew, but she knew everything else. Like the senior in my freshman year who chased me, waiting for me outside class every day. Or in my junior year, when I wanted to start fresh, trying to move on from Kyung-soo. So I got close to a girl from my club with a bright smile. She knew about all of it. A childhood sweetheart and her absurd best friend. It sounded like a beautiful fairy tale, but did she actually like me? I asked Jaron. So he and Kyung-soo were never together. He laughed, asking what I was thinking. He confirmed they never dated. He just often asked her questions. The library meetings were pure chance. And back then he liked the class president, the one with the ponytail and black-framed glasses. Back at my rental, I lay on my bed watching Kyung-soo's hula hoop video over and over. My heart raced faster than ever, so I made a decision to pursue her. Drunk, I barged into her house and kissed her under the influence. I did it on purpose. The leak at my rental wasn't that bad, but I moved out overnight anyway, because I wanted to live at her place. I did it on purpose. I left the tag on my coat, hoping she'd help me remove it on purpose. If someone had to ruin Kyung-soo, I wanted it to be me, taking advantage of her indulgence. Recklessly. No one else but me. Kyung-soo asked if it mattered whether she'd dated Jaron. She pressed if it was important to me. I didn't answer. Instead, I retreated to the bedroom and locked the door. After that day, Kyung-soo and I seemed to be tangled in a murky pool, unable to break free yet unable to hold on. I wasn't in a rush. Kyung-soo watched and waited. On the day of the first snow, the girl from the first snow kept messaging me. She seemed to really like me. On New Year's Eve, Kyung-soo had to work late. I prepared a small cake for the celebration. Kyung-soo finally got home at 11:30 p.m. I set my phone on the table and went to the fridge to grab the cake. A ding sounded. Someone sent me a WeChat message. The contact was labeled First Snow Beauty 168. Kyung-soo slightly narrowed her eyes. She remarked that 168 was pretty tall, though not quite her height. I pressed my lips to hide a smirk. I said it was alright and opened WeChat. I looked at the photo for Snow Beauty 168 cent. I genuinely exclaimed in admiration. Kyungsoo sitting beside me could clearly see the phone's contents. It was a selfie with delicate striking features and a prominent eye-catching figure. Kyungsoo still smiled, but her smile was a bit unnerving. She commented on the nice figure, noting we'd been chatting for a month. She asked if I was ready to date her. I paused for a moment. I said it might happen soon, but admitted I wasn't sure how to date. Kyungsoo nodded thoughtfully. She offered to teach me, as if she were being overly generous. I couldn't back down. I agreed, telling Kyungsoo to go ahead. She stood up with an air of calm indifference. She told me to grab a bottle of wine from the cabinet. With a loud thud, she set the wine on the table with some force. I said if she was going to teach, just teach. I asked why she brought out the wine. She deftly opened the bottle. She lazily said it was to set the mood. I asked if she'd ever been in love. How could she teach me if she hadn't? I'd never heard her talk about dating. I froze, asking how many she'd been with. She said it depended on how you counted. In her view, holding hands, hugging, or kissing all counted as dating. She looked at me deeply, saying we'd held hands, we'd hugged more than once, and kissed a few times. Probably when I drunk kissed her on purpose. That time I leaned in with a smile, just centimeters from her face. I asked how many there were. Kyungsoo said softly, there was only one. I slowly leaned closer, close enough to see the fine hairs on her face. She dodged my lips, noting it was almost midnight. She wished me a happy new year and said she was going to bed. As she started to leave, I chuckled softly. I grabbed her wrist and gently pulled, bringing her to the table's edge. I held Kyungsoo's waist, lifting her onto the table in one smooth motion. I casually draped my arm over her shoulder. I asked if she remembered our first kiss. She looked at me, her face flushed. The midnight bells chimed. The new year arrived. With the crackle of fireworks, I whispered in her ear. I offered to help her relive that kiss. My lips met hers. She responded passionately. She knew my mischievous intentions. I understood her feigned restraint. I teased and drew out her quiet cooperation. We both understood without saying. Her hula hoop practice hadn't been for nothing. On New Year's Day, I was roped into delivering crabs to Kyungsoo's place. Well, not entirely against my will. As I stepped into the entryway, Uncle Yi and Aunt Yi were still busy in the kitchen. Kyungsoo took the plate from me and snuck a quick kiss. She asked about plans for the evening. I raised an eyebrow, suggesting we watch the Spring Festival Gala and more. I tilted my head, asking her. She hugged me, proposing a nighttime stroll and a date. We hadn't told our parents we were dating. We wanted the thrill of sneaking around under their noses. After New Year's dinner, I was still chatting with Kyungsoo in her room. My mom called out from outside, calling me Feng Feng. She said she and my father were going to play cards. I quickly texted Kyungsoo, telling her to come over, since my parents were out. She replied obediently. I rushed to the door, thrilled to greet her. Once inside, I cupped her face and started kissing her. Lost in the moment, I heard glass shatter. My parents, who were supposed to be playing cards, stood in the living room. Kyungsoo let out a startled yelp, burying her face in my chest, practically diving in. My parents, shocked, shuffled around awkwardly until my mom called Aunt Yi, addressing her as in-law. Our romance was fully exposed. The story concluded. Our secret was out in the open. Our love laid bare for all to see. The tale of our romance reached its end.